Okay, so this afternoon we're going to talk about shadows. You guys are probably pretty familiar with shadows um, because you see them all the time outside. You may have even been scared of them when you were little, but it's something that you experience on a regular basis. So if you will set your C Notes page up, like the one you see on the screen, you're going to write shadows for the title, and then we're going to talk about what causes shadows. We're going to talk about why your shadow changes. And what we're talking about there is outside. Like when you are outside, if you notice, at different times during the day, your shadow looks different. So we're going to talk about why that happens. And then you will ask any or write a question that you will have for me or for Ms. Kaiser at the end. And then you will write a summary sentence. Then we'll talk about how that works towards the end of this lesson. So you can pause it and set your page up like this, but I'm going to move on. Just hit the pause button, set it up. When you're ready, you can hit play. Okay, so shadows are caused by the obstruction, and the word obstruction means blocking of a light beam by an object. So in your notes, you're going to draw a picture of a light source next to cause. So if you notice on your notes it says cause, and then across that line, you will write what causes shadows. So it's when something blocks a light source. So if you notice in the picture, the sun is coming from this direction. Well, his body is blocking the sun, so it creates a shadow. And this little dog's body is blocking the sun, so it creates a shadow. So in your notes, you're going to write the cause is that the light is blocked by an object. And then you're going to draw a picture of the light source, an object, and where the shadow will be, so that we can kind of get an idea. Obviously, if you look at this picture, where would the sun be? Is the sun here? Or is the sun up here? And how do you know that? Okay, so those are questions you're going to ask yourself. I will tell you, if you still have a question about that, the sun is actually back here because the light source has to come down and be blocked in order to create the shadow. So the shadow is going to be on the opposite side of where the light source is. So you can pause it so that you can write what causes the shadow, and so you can draw your picture. And you can draw any light source, any object, as long as you put the shadow in the correct place. So go ahead and pause it and do that. And then when you're ready, you hit play. Okay, so now we're going to talk about why your shadow is different lengths and in different positions throughout the day if you are outside. And so we're going to watch this short little demonstration.
Ever notice how the sun seems to move across the sky during the day?
Actually, it's the Earth that is spinning. It rotates once on its axis in 24 hours.
The stars and the sun stay in the same pattern.
Here's the Earth from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Notice the shadow of the pushpin. It is long at 6 a.m. and changes throughout the day.
What did you notice about the shadow? Why did it change?
Okay, so if you noticed, if we go back on here and we talk about what happens with the push pin, okay, so if you notice right here the shadow is long, and that's in the morning. Ask yourself where the sun would be. So the sun is over here, okay? If you okay, so if you look right here, okay, and I'm going to play this again. We'll speed it up. We get to our shadows.
6 a.m.
Okay, so if you look at your shadow here, okay, if you remember, if you are familiar with the compass rose, and you look, remember that you have west, north, east, and then south, and that the sun always appears to come up in the east. So when you do that, that means that the sun is actually over here in the morning, and it's creating this longer shadow. And then as it goes throughout the day, the sun moves. And so now the sun would actually be...
It is long at 6 a.m. and changes throughout the day.
The sun would actually be here.
What did you notice about the shadow?
What did you notice about the shadow? the sun is not moving, the earth is rotating, but it appears that the sun is moving. Okay? So, basically your shadow changes shape, and not changes shape, it changes length and position because of the earth's rotation, because it makes one rotation. And that makes it appear that the sun is actually moving across the sky, but the sun is staying in the same place, the earth is moving. Okay, so why does our shadow move during the day? The shadow length is caused by the earth's rotation, which makes the sun appear to move across the sky. So the sun does not actually move across the sky every day. The earth actually rotates. The sun stays where it's at. So if you look at this picture here, you can tell that it is in the morning because the sun is in the east and the shadows are long. Had it been in the afternoon, the shadows of these of this model right here would have been very short. So your notes for this. We talked about what causes shadow, and you should have had a picture with a light source, an object, and where the shadow is with the light source. Okay, and then the pattern of change. Remember we talked about the reason why your shadow changes is because of the Earth's position, or of the Earth's rotation and position of where the sun actually is. Okay, so your notes should look like this. And any questions that you still have about shadows, you need to write here. So come up with at least one question, and then you have a summary sentence. So you can you can summarize what you learned about shadows any way that you want, but it has to be in a complete sentence. So if you're struggling with that, I gave you a sentence starter. So I learned that shadows, and you can tell me whatever you learned about shadows through this activity. You will take a picture of your notes and submit it into Haiku, and then also put your notes in your binder behind your science section and take them to class so that they can be checked in class.